Welcome back, folks, to Under the Lights, presented by Danimals Baseball. My name is Mistah Coach, joined today by my co-host Jarin Kobashigawa, who's actually going to be pivoting into the host seat for today's podcast. Also joining us is a sub-in co-host, Landon. Missing in action is our other good friend, Brandon Roberts. But today's episode is all about me. It's my podcast. It's going to focus on me, and I couldn't be happier, you know?
How can you not have an episode about Ryan? Because, of course, he is the founder. He is Mistah Coach. He's the guy who organizes the team, make sure that we have 9 every game that we have, and he's also one of the founders of this podcast. So how can you not spotlight a guy like him?
President, CEO, GM. He's the 17-tool player.
Wow. I don't have a throwing arm, so we can take that tool off of the tool set there. But
16's good.
I don't actually hit for power either, so I'm like a
15.
There you go.
Just knock you back a little bit.
Yeah, 15 tools is still workable.
But I guess I'm leading the podcast today, which is a little strange. It feels a little nervous. Usually in things like post-game interviews and this podcast, you're
used to that, though.
Well, you're the more well-spoken guy, and I sort of just provide comedic relief, and
that's my thing.
Oh, that's your thing today? Okay, well.
No, I mean in general.
Oh, right. Episode 2.
I'm the substitute teacher.
You're the comedic relief when you're but mostly when you're not talking. I feel like your actions are
doing things.
Yeah. Like you're the comedic relief, non-verbal comedic relief. It's funny when you do things.
It is funny, and if you want a good laugh, head back into episode 2. Landon was our first ever guest, and he's evolved. Now he's maybe a stable, maybe not, but
he'll be around.
You know, I think you were the first call off of the bench, so
bring in the lefty.
Yeah. Stay hot in that bullpen.
First relief, man. I'll be coming out. Anything need a sub.
But let's not waste any more time, because there is a lot that comes with talking about Mistah Coach's life. Of course, this podcast is, the goal is to get to know our players, and I feel like you're one of the more well-known guys on the team, just because content
that's by virtue of being the guy that runs it.
Yeah, like content sort of comes through you. It revolves around you. So, out of everyone, you're probably one of the more well-known guys online. But there's still a lot that I'm really excited to get into as far as, growing up. You went through a lot physically.
I've lived many lives.
You have faced death head on a couple of times, more than I care to want to do that again. more than a normal person should be facing. But yeah, you got anything before we just sort of jump into Ryan's LinkedIn history and all that?
No, I think it's time to dive into the man behind.
It's my episode.
And behind the Danimals.
Should have.
Mistah Coach.
I'm humble.
Ryan Nakamura.
You're the humble one now. So I really wanted to start off with this story, because this was the first time I was getting to know Ryan, and of course we'll love to hear your story as well. But the first time that I met Ryan was varsity baseball at Mānoa. Me and Ryan were 3 years apart. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Is that 3 years? That's not 4 years?
4 years. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. Quick maths.
And one of the funniest stories that I have, one of the earliest
that's 3.
memories. What?
It's 3. If you were 4 years apart, you guys wouldn't have been in high school at the same time.
Yeah.
Good call.
What?
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm not. Yeah. I think you're right, because you graduated 2016. I graduated 2013.
Bam.
Yeah.
Okay.
16 minus 3.
Okay.
13 is 3.
We're not a math podcast, but...
But then 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 4. How does that work?
But you're not counting the difference.
So, welcome back to This Is Maths, presented by Danimals Baseball. Anyway.
So, getting to know Ryan on the baseball team, Ryan was a senior at the time, so implementing new things into the program was sort of in his wheelhouse. And one of the things with Ryan's background of running cross country, he was a cross country star back in the intermediate days, conditioning and long distance running, being in good shape, that was something he was obviously fond of and cared about a lot. So at Marino, he implemented this Punahou Loop run. It turned into a run to the Mānoa cemetery, which was like, I don't know,
A couple miles.
It was far.
Yeah.
It felt far for a non
And uphill.
distance
And steep.
runner.
Very steep.
I think once we got to the cemetery, we would also take turns running up it, which is an insane incline, just absolutely killer on the legs. But the story that I want to get into was what happened before that run. It was like getting ready. We were all outside of Marino's gym getting ready to go on the run. And I have this really interesting memory of you picking me up and then stuffing me headfirst into a trash can. It was it wasn't in any bullying way. It was it felt to me like a very like brotherly thing to do. You just sort of like pick your little brother up and
Stuff in with the trash can.
as most brothers do, I think. But one of the earliest memories of you, I think it was funny. It's funny to look back at, and honestly, I think it doesn't define our relationship, but to an extent, like I sort of see you as almost a little brother, following in your footsteps. You played second base. I ended up playing second base at Marino as well. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we go back to the run, for me, I ran cross country for a little bit. Was always okay with like pacing myself, but to me, that run meant so much more than conditioning. It was getting a group of guys all through the same pain and suffering of having to run that, and like through that, you actually get closer. You realize, you can lean on your team to pick you up when you're struggling up that hill. And it was more of a team development exercise, although it sucked because we had to run.
Your boy was battling.
Oh, I know.
Bro. Bro. No, I was in the back, like surviving at the end.
Well, in hindsight, maybe not the best idea, but that was where my head was.
We lost a couple guys on the along the way.
Yeah, I know. I think JR sprained his ankle or something.
No, he broke his ankle.
Yeah, or whatever. but honestly, it really comes from me wanting to find some common ground with players, and this sucks. Let's push through it together. And that's kind of been my style of play. That's been my style of leadership. That's how I feel I can contribute to a team. I've never been the best player. I've always been I was under 5 feet going into high school. I was always too short, too small. Was going to be at second base because couldn't make the throw from anywhere else. And I felt that I could contribute to the team in a bunch of the intangible ways, providing that leadership, providing an opportunity for our team to come closer. And it's funny you bring up that moment when I stuffed you in a trash can. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, you don't?
I know.
How much did you weigh if he's picking you up and putting you in a trash can?
I was quite small.
Yeah.
Back in high school or freshman year at least.
Yeah. Well, but I think that speaks to the nature of our relationship, and the nature of the relationship of the team was that we could do all that, shenanigans and play where people on the outside might see that as malicious or bullying. But, we had this kind of underlying understanding of each other, like, hey, I know you're doing this. It's not with malicious intent, and it's kind of a brotherly love type of deal.
And you also bring up like the intangibles that you provide for the team. And I think, I didn't know you very well. It was my first year on the team, and I think most of the season I wasn't even playing on varsity. I got sent back to intermediate and then was later pulled back up. But, for someone like me who doesn't really know you very well, for you and I to have that sort of relationship, like joking around, like sort of brotherly type of interactions, I think that speaks to, the effort that went into creating intangibles, creating like a team environment. And, if you can also point to the state championship win that ended up, or that's how the season ended.
Yeah.
And whether or not that was, a result of things like the intangibles fostering a good team environment, who's to say, but it did end in a state championship. So
D2 powerhouse.
D2 powerhouse. There you go.
Hell yeah.
But Landon, why don't do you have any early recollections of of Mistah Coach over here, meeting him back in, was it high school or
I came to Marino in 8th grade.
8th grade?
And we'll get into the Marino story here in a bit. But, growing up, I played Little League in Kaimuki. So with our co-host Brandon, my first ever throwing partner, we have some fun pictures of each other on the same field.
And this past, was it fall or summer, we got a
Yeah.
great, sort of matching the pictures type of picture. You guys are middle infield back in the day, and we got a great picture of you guys playing middle infield with the Danimals unis.
Yeah, and so we had an incredible coach, Coach Jarin, who was the coach that took the Hawaii team in 2018 to the Little League World Series and won the whole thing. And he really instilled a lot in me and in a lot of those intangibles. Baseball is not just about how far you can hit a ball and how hard you can throw and how well you field. It's what kind of attitude you bring to the field every day, what kind of support you can give to your teammates when you're struggling. And that carried on with me to this day, really. And then so I came to Marino in 8th grade. It was kind of a culture shock for me because I had been playing with a lot of my neighborhood friends. Kaimuki Little League is confined to a district, and so going to a private school, you have guys that are all over the island coming together. And so it's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation for me. And so when I came in and felt that discomfort, I really tried to make an effort to, when I was going to be in that leadership position, welcome people with open arms, make that locker room and that dugout very comfortable for everybody. And I think that's probably why I dumped you under a trash can.
Oh, thanks, Coach Gerald, and thank you, early Marino days. I do think that the trash can was not as dirty as it could be because I think I came out dry. So we'll just throw it. It wasn't malicious at all for those hearing this story for the first time.
Maybe we can do a reenactment one day.
Okay, yeah, an empty trash can, maybe, that'd be nice.
Just one at the field after the game with all the empty wrappers and bottles.
I'm going to get cut up by some cans or some bottles in that trash can, and I would rather not do that.
Yeah, so then I met Landon, right, first year at Marino. I came in the 8th grade, and that was like the intermediate days.
I think we met like the summer
Actually, the summer before.
Because and I met you actually through my sister because you guys had gone to middle school.
That's right.
At Kaimuki Middle together. And then I think she took summer school at Marino even though she wasn't there anymore. And then I met you through that. And then we were both on the baseball team after that.
Actually, I think I might one-up you and say I think we met before that because I was playing for Kahaluu baseball, which is...
Kahaluu?
Kind of nuts. I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 of us from Kaimuki that played in Kahaluu. It was like Kahaluu Little League.
So it's like an hour drive for practice?
An hour drive to practice.
That's
I remember
insane.
just like packing us in a minivan to carpool out with the 5 Kaimuki boys to Kahaluu. But when I played Kahaluu, the Marino team had a team in the same league called the Snap Rats or something. The Snap Raps.
I never played on that team, but it was Spartan spelled backwards.
Yeah, it was the stupidest.
Snap.
We all called them the Snack Wraps, like the McDonald's.
Or the Snap Packs, like the pudding.
Yeah, but so like
I love those.
I had a couple friends that were already at Marino, and when people discovered that I was coming to Marino, we kind of forged a little bit of like familiarity with each other, but not to an extent where we would consider ourselves like friends at that point. And so I knew who a lot of you were before then, and then came summer school, and then came 8th grade.
Wait, so Landon was on that?
No, I wasn't on that team.
Who was on that team?
I think like a class above
probably the
you.
older guys. Probably
like Zach Kim.
Yeah, like Connor and probably Darren. Yeah. But yeah, not me. Because I was a year younger.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your early recollections of Mistah Coach here?
We took a summer school class. It was in the computer lab. It was...
I don't even remember that. I do remember during that
school?
Summer school, I dyed my hair blonde.
Yes, you did.
For baseball?
No, just to do it.
Oh.
He'd always wear the same Under Armour hoodie to every class.
You kind of still do that. I know you have a black Under Armour hoodie that
probably the same one.
Go to.
Probably still fits.
Medium.
But yeah, I remember we would just bullshit before class, and then like I don't even remember what the hell we did in that class, but like
PowerPoint presentations.
yes,
Yeah.
no, actually yes, it was like I think the class was based upon that. Like
Because it's like computer skills.
you had to put together like presentations like every couple of weeks or whatever, and it was like, I mean that's all you do in Mānoa, which is super annoying.
I remember, I think I took the same class because I learned when PowerPoint like sort of was first like a thing where you had to learn. Now kids, I think, just know how to use like PowerPoint, Google Slides, like anything.
Like right out of giving birth, it's
yeah.
like you know how to use Microsoft Office.
It's like breathing,
I mean,
eating.
there's toddlers with iPads, of course they do.
Electronics. That was when you could like animate stuff onto this.
Yeah.
So you would have it like
Oh.
loop-de-loop, and then
The transition
here.
effects, dude.
The transitions, like the whole.
That was the
screen
shit.
and that was a lot of fun. So I think I took the same class, but so you said you dyed your hair for no reason?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like a spur of the moment type of thing. Got all the girls like, to hang around me. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I sort of had that same thing in mind. What's on his head? I used to dye my hair quite often as well because, well, more so I thought for sports. I don't know. I feel like it's maybe a Hawaii thing because even the Hawaii baseball team now, like half of their team dyed their hair blonde, just sort of spur of the moment. I think it was started by Matt Wong. But it's just funny side story. I know this episode is about you, but
This is my episode.
just this small sidebar for the next 30 seconds. I used to dye my hair, and I used to always try to get this nice blonde color, but I think I would always buy like cheap Long's hair dye, and my hair, whenever I was in the sun, would always turn red or orange. And it was just so embarrassing because now, like, I'm sure you've seen pictures.
I remember this phase.
What? I didn't. Oh, okay. So I did it once
you do
more.
that. You
when
did
I
that
was
like
older.
not that long ago.
I used to do it more often. I used to do it every summer until Marino said you can't have like dyed hair. But yeah, me and Kyle like did it recently, and I think mine sort of came out not as blonde, more red, and that wasn't the plan at all. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that sidebar. For
We'll
no
cut that
reason.
out.
Okay, we'll cut it out. This is Mistah Coach's episode. Before we move on to sort of a life-changing moment for Mistah Coach, he did want me to mention that at Marino, we have this annual dodgeball tournament that he is also proud of because during his senior year, wearing the Average Joe's uniforms, he won that. So we'll just
Shout out to
mention that.
Marino advisory classmates if you ever watch this.
The Wieners.
The Wieners.
We have Carly Cooper, who might be watching this right now. She was on the Wieners. It was Mr. Wee, and the Wieners was the name. So there's that. And so moving on from that, hey, there you go.
Hey, landed on the soundboard.
So Landon's on the soundboard today, but he's cheating because he wrote it down. We'll just say that.
It's called being proactive. Game planning, dog. Come on.
The life-changing story that I really want to get into because it was a life-changing, and you say that through this injury it sort of gave you a sense of direction as far as where you wanted to go career-wise. It impacted one of the bigger things in your life, which was the game of baseball and how you went about playing it moving forward. But would you tell us a little bit about this traumatic head injury that happened to you?
Yeah, so eighth grade year, first year at Marino, I was asked to throw batting practice, and Landon was batting, and freak accident. I have no ill words to say about Landon about that, but he squared up a ball that hit me right back in the face.
Ryan Nakamura never let the fear keep him from playing the game. It was his strength and determination that makes him this month's and our first beautiful survivor.
We were taking batting practice and I had taken the mound, and everything from that moment seemed to be going in slow motion.
And in the moment, like, my head rang, was dizzy, and like walked off the field, and I was like, "Coach, I just need like for 10 minutes, just let me rest." And not really understanding the severity of potentially what that injury could have been.
I didn't really think anything of it. I thought I was going to go back to practice that day, actually.
At that point, I made a decision to, take him to Kapilani. And by the time I moved the truck back, he had already started throwing up, so I knew something was wrong.
Drove down to Kapiolani together, and by that time I was unconscious, right? What ended up happening was I suffered a big brain bleed, and when that happens, the blood pushes, or the accumulation of blood puts some pressure on your brain, and it begins to herniate, which means like push through the cavity where your spinal cord passes through, which is very serious. And in that moment, you have a few hours to evacuate the bleed, or the patient and myself will die. And I spent, I think, 8 to 12 weeks in the hospital, and a good number of that in the ICU, which is the intensive care unit. And it was really touch and go at that time. And
For that entire time?
I mean, definitely for the first few weeks, right? So I got out of surgery, and I was in a coma for a few days. And you know, as a neurosurgeon, you're not really sure what the outcome of the surgery is going to be until the patient either wakes up or doesn't. And so, fortunately, I gathered myself and really leaned on the support of the doctors, the nurses, the hospital staff, and a lot of the friends, family, and community, really, to recover from that injury. So to this day, I have no focal or physical deficits. I'm fully healed. I can play baseball, can talk normally sometimes. The pigeon comes out a little bit more often now, but anyway, I do remember while I was recovering from that injury, I think every day we broke every single hospital visitation rule.
Oh yeah.
And the reason was I was at Kapiolani Hospital, and it's very close by to Mānoa. And so literally waves of classmates and waves of faculty and teachers and my coaches and teammates would come in, and it probably pissed a lot of people off. But I really think that played a huge role in my recovery. I know it's not something that you can really correlate, having a bigger support system versus having a smaller support system. But, in reflection, I do think that having that support, maybe unconsciously, knowing that people were in my corner wanting me to pull through, was helpful. And I like to believe that it was actually helpful. So, crazy injury. I have a big scar on my head that
What
kind of...
was the staple total?
42.
Oh,
So 42.
Jackie Robinson.
I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
It's freaky, right? So 42 staples. 42 is the number of Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson Day falls on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's really freaky.
right?
That's really freaky.
So Jackie Robinson Day is April 15.
Right.
So yeah, I remember, being in the hospital for a long time. All my teammates would come, give me well wishes. I literally kept every single card people wrote for me.
Wow.
It's gotta be a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's a ton, and I have it right by my bed there. And it's in a big
nice.
envelope. And I think pretty much the whole school wrote a card individually. Like each person, at least in my grade and probably the grade below, wrote a card, and a lot of cards from family, friends, and former teammates and former friends and stuff like that. So, crazy things happen in life. That's part of baseball. Crazy things happen in baseball. There's no way to have foreseen that incident happening. But I really use that life happening as a way to inspire my next steps in life. I think returning to baseball was really important for me because baseball was my first love, and getting back into the baseball field was going to prove to me that I was past this injury.
And I think a lot of people would have said, hang the cleats up and call it quits, but baseball was my first love, and I could not give it up. And for me, it's about giving back to the community that's given me a life to live.
My stay at the hospital actually gave me some inspiration to pursue a career in medicine. And just being in that space for such a long time, you kind of see firsthand how impactful medicine can be. And just like right in that instant, I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Do you feel like through the injury that your passion for the game of baseball was intensified? And obviously your career choice wasn't, that was intensified as well, because you're still pursuing a career in the medical field. But talking about baseball, because this is a baseball podcast, do you think that the injury, that it caused you to want to be around the game of baseball even more?
Expand your appreciation of it, maybe?
Well, yeah, you hear coaches all the time say, like, you got to play this game like it's the last time you're ever going to play, right? You got to work so hard because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I lived that. I actually lived that. And so there are things that I do now that I wouldn't have previously. And that's because I know that tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I think the injury, although quite traumatic and quite difficult to recover from, was an incredible time in my life to really define who I'd like to become. And so that's a little bit about the story. Sorry for the rant. We'll try to reset the tone here to get back to a little more of the fun side of the podcast. We'll take a short break here, a message from our sponsors, and we'll be right back on Under the Lights, presented by Danimals Baseball. Growler Hawaii, Uncle Bill, Josh, Jake, Uncle Al, thank you for the support. From quality craft beverages, delicious cuisine to a quality ambiance, Growler Hawaii is the place to be for your 2 p.m. hangover relief. Experience the best quality American beer at our craft beer pub in Honolulu, located in Punahou Loop near Waikiki Beach. It is a go-to place to sit back, relax, and enjoy handcrafted beer made to perfection. Thank you guys. Thank you, Uncle Bill, Uncle Al, Josh, and Jake. Welcome back, folks, to Under the Lights, presented by Danimals Baseball. It's me. It's my episode.
It's all
Also,
about Mistah Coach.
But also joined by... that's it? That's all the claps you're going to give me? That was like
hold
2
it?
seconds.
You have to hold it?
Yeah, dude. Figure it out.
I didn't know that.
Also joined by Jarin, Kobashigawa, my co-host, and step-in co-host Landon Higa Hacks. Get your stickers. But just wanted to come on the other side of the break and ask Landon what his head might have been thinking going through all of that. Him being the unfortunate player to have hit that ball and
the front
caused
row
it.
seat, dog.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
So I can give like the teammate and then classmate at the school perspective. So first of all, like, I hit it. I'm not gonna lie, it was the best ball I'd hit all day.
Probably one of the better balls you've hit in your life.
I mean, you're probably, and this was BESR days, so
Yeah.
those bats were
Hot.
dangerous. Like, holy crap! Like, the balls came off it flying. So I saw it and it ricocheted off his head and the ball just went. I was like, oh, that's not good. And then so the coach, Ryan and I told that part. The coaches and everyone was all worried. And then so yeah, we found out like later on that night, like he was going to you're going to surgery and everything, and then all that stuff. And then everyone was kind of freaking out a little bit. And then it was like weird, like a little bit of guilt and everything, but everyone was super nice and like great, like coaches, even your parents and everything. The same sentiment. It was like, oh, it's like a freak accident. It's no one's fault. And I was like, if
it was anybody's fault, it was mine for not staying behind the L screen.
Yeah, or wearing a helmet or something.
You weren't wearing a helmet throwing BP?
Were you wearing a helmet?
No one wears a helmet throwing BP.
I used to in high school.
Oh, well, anyway.
But yeah. So then after that part, it was, yeah. So like when you were in the hospital and talking about the visitation rules and everything, I think we would try to like between the end of school and the start of practice, we try to like go and say hi or whatever. And like you said, like every time we would go to see you, there'd be someone coming out of your hospital room It's like you gotta like sometimes we literally have to stand in line because like
Wow.
we don't want to overcrowd the room, and we're just like, guys, can we skip? We got practice.
Like a celebrity in there. People were waiting in line to see you.
dude, and like all the balloons. Some
Stuff-
people
Oh,
bring
yeah.
flowers
Did you get
and
stuffed
all the
animals?
notes.
Everything.
Probably a bunch of candy and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean,
How was that for you though? Because like when I look back at some of the pictures that I had, there are some that people may not receive particularly well. Like, you walk into a room and go, there's so many tubes down my throat. There's like IV lines in. My head was shaven. I have staples that are running up and down my head. Was that like a shock to you, or did you even see that part? Or
I didn't see. So we didn't see the part when you were like unconscious still because there wasn't no visitations happening then. But the first time I saw you after that was you were doing
PT?
physical therapy. Yeah, I remember. And then I saw you. Yeah, you had the shaved head and the gnarly staples. And I mean, I knew you got in brain surgery and everything. So like, I kind of knew what to expect, and I saw it and I was like, oh, so that's what it looks like. And then it's like, well, it's gonna leave a scar. But
quick note on the shaved head. When you go into surgery and they need to start that right away, they shave off what they need and leave the rest behind. And so when I went in, and there's some pictures that I have somewhere, I don't know, but they took off like literally from here and then left, and then I just had a patch of long hair.
Bro, it looks like he was on an episode
one
of
side of my
Jackass.
head.
I mean, they didn't have a nurse that could give you a nice fade.
No, they just vroom vroom and just they
Yeah.
just went to work after that. So.
I mean, the time in between of them shaving your head and cutting out a section of your skull, it was like they were trying to be as fast as they could,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I mean, got some priorities they had to keep.
What
I
you
mean,
said-
I make fun of that in hindsight, but like in the moment, it was probably like necessary for them to be in that hurry.
coming back and stepping back onto the field for the first time, what was that like? Like, how did you sort of cope with a ball coming at you for the first time? If you're a batter, like seeing a pitch for the first time, anytime that a ball is coming at you, for non-baseball players, it's scary. But to experience what you did experience, and then having the courage to come back on the field to say basically like that happened, but let's get right back at it. What was that whole?
I mean, I have like
experience?
great hands, so balls coming at me were like never an issue. So I'm just kidding. But what's weird about this whole thing is like, to me, it was I got hit by a ball and I was asleep, and then all of a sudden I woke up, and then kind of had to work through some PT, and then I was back on the field, and that was like my perceived experience of the incident. It was almost more scary for I think my parents and probably my teammates.
So did your parents were they?
I'm sure they were
cautious?
freaked out.
No, but for you to want to go back onto the field, did your
It
parents?
probably pissed them the hell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
And all the doctors were saying, absolutely not, like, stay away. And it's like, these are things that happen one-off, right? And like I said, baseball was a very meaningful part of my life at that time. And so getting back onto the baseball field, I think meant more to me, not just because I like playing it, but it was like for me to understand that I am okay to put this injury past me. And so, yeah, probably the teammates and the coaches and the parents were all probably more scared than I was that I was back on the field. For me, it was just, got hit by a ball, took a nap, and now I'm back.
You rocked that sick Scully
Yeah,
for
and-
like a while afterwards.
And I played the field with a skull cap, so like
Oh.
the catcher's hard hat. So like John Olerud back in the day for the Blue Jays played with that. Also a traumatic brain injury victim, and so I actually pitched for a little bit after that, wearing the skull cap, and I don't pitch anymore. That's totally off limits now. But I think that gave some of the my teammates, coaches, and parents a little bit of comfort knowing that I had some form of protection there.
And Higa, I have a question for you. Like, when you see someone like Ryan go through something like that and step back onto the field, how does that impact the team? Just seeing him and the perseverance that he's had and the courage that he's had to step back onto the field.
I think it boosts like team morale especially like when he comes back from it, and you see your teammate work his way through something like that, and then you see him come back and like because he wants to come back, and so I think I do think it was a bonding experience for not only between Ryan and all the rest of us, but the rest of the team outside of Ryan, because we'd all get together and support and be there and visit and all that stuff. So I think obviously it's not a good thing that happened, but what happened afterwards, there were positives that came out of it.
Yeah, I tell all my friends and family, like, I'm sorry that you know me, because you're gonna have to go through.
And well, that was like the first like real big like thing that happened to you.
Actually, I've had 2 previous head injuries prior to that.
From baseball?
One is a hilarious story, one not so hilarious. I'll start with the not so hilarious one.
Okay.
I was doing community service. Girl was trying to flirt with me.
Shut
This was like, no, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I mean, this is like as 4th or 5th graders flirt, right?
Okay.
I think she was trying to just throw like a rock by my feet to get my attention or something. And then she just threw a cannonball and it hit me right in the forehead. And then I thought she threw a fruit.
Oh my god.
And it was just red coming down.
Oh my god.
So then I had to go get stitches, and it was just the whole thing.
How big was this rock, and how strong was this girl's arm?
Well, I don't know. It opened up my head.
Jesus
But the
Christ.
funnier story was like maybe 4 or 5. I was still kind of a toddler. I remember I was at my uncle's house, and I was running around with this toy. And Jason, who is 2 years younger than me, so he was probably 2 or 3 at that time, needed to use the bathroom, but couldn't make it to the bathroom. So he pissed on the kitchen floor, right? And I was running around with the toy, and I slipped on my brother's piss and cracked the top of my head open. I needed to get a few stitches.
What? Jason! Jason, what the hell, man?
So
Holy cow.
Jason, you owe me one for not being able to control your damn bladder.
Your head is just like...
He's also 2. Where's the diaper at?
Well, I mean, maybe it leaked through the diaper. I don't know what happened. All I knew was I was having a grand old time, having fun with my toy, and all of a sudden I was, tummy up, and my head hurt, and my mom was like, "I think we need to go to the hospital."
So I'm confused
Oh, boy.
which one was supposed to be the funny one and which one was not supposed to be the funny one.
I mean, when I tell people I slipped on my brother's piss and like had to get stitches for it, I think that's usually the more funny part.
But I think
funny story.
It's funny, a girl. You think back to like a little 5th grader like trying to flirt with little Ryan over there. Ryan's just probably just like doing community service, minding his own business.
That's exactly what I was doing.
Some girl's just like, oh my god, that Nakamura boy, he's got something about him. Ryan just like probably doesn't even care that a girl's interested. He's just
Pulling weeds, man.
as
We were
boys
pulling
do,
weeds.
Boys were probably more interested in pulling the weeds and seeing the little roots that come out from the weeds than...
Dude, can you pull it out perfectly without breaking it the first time? Like how long of the root can you pull out in one go?
I think this is also something baseball players do. You sit in, you're around grass all day. You get speeches from coaches. You're just like constantly like picking the grass out.
Bro, like how many pieces of grass can I pick out during this 45-minute post-game speech?
I used to pick the grass out and then stick it in the person's pocket in front of me, or like the little butt crack thing that would be in the middle of the pants.
Did you ever get in trouble for that?
No. Why would I get in trouble for that?
I don't know. You're f***ing around doing...
No, the point is not to get caught, right?
Well, obviously.
And I never did. But we want to circle back around to Ryan's post-injury life.
Mm-hmm.
Going about it. So the injury happened in 8th grade. You went on to play high school baseball for Mānoa, and that ended up in a state championship. But moving past that, you ended up playing at a D3 powerhouse, Whittier. Those were his words, not mine. He told me to say D3 powerhouse. So Mistah Coach went on to not only win a high school state championship, but he went on to play collegiate baseball despite, I guess, 3 injuries to the head, which included one from his brother, one from a crush, a girl crush, and one from baseball. So can you talk about your college experience and what that was like playing in California?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that state championship run was crazy.
It was historical.
I don't think anybody expected us to even make it out of the ILH. And, some of my most fond memories come from that state championship run. And, that was crazy. But going to Whittier College, I hadn't even visited the campus, didn't even think that, it was basically an invited walk-on. I had got a decent scholarship offer for academics at the D3 level. You're not allowed to give an athletic scholarship. So it was more about wanting to continue to play the game I love. And it really wasn't about, particularly excelling in baseball at the collegiate level. It was just, wanting to continue my passion. We had some rough patches, and we make the D3 powerhouse Whittier joke quite often because we were anything but that, right? We were, the last place team, second to the last place team in conference every year. And, it really was a grind, coming from high school ball where you're playing with your friends and you're playing with your buddies, and going to a school where you don't know anybody. It's kind of a foreign land out in California. It really turned into like a job. And that's where I started to lose a little passion for the game. I lost touch with what made it fun. It was like, man, can I just tell my coach I have lab today and come late to practice so I don't have to, go through all the BS of, getting chewed out by my coaches. And, I wasn't even playing for a large part of my career at Whittier. So it was like, why do I have to bear this, terrible coaching staff and not even get the opportunity to play? And, actually through that, I think created a weird dynamic in the locker room where we all kind of rallied together due to a mutual hate of the coach.
It was the rebellion.
Yeah. So some of my best friends out in Whittier, I do miss them quite a bit. And, I do appreciate that aspect of playing college ball. Was I made some incredible friends and guys that I'll, spend time with as I grow older. But after Whittier, we started Danimals. Mm-hmm. And, after being at Whittier and it being such a grind and whatnot, I really wanted to reshift the focus of playing baseball to back what made it fun. And I think that's where Danimals took off, and it is why we're here. Why we have a good social media presence, why we have an opportunity to do a podcast, why we have people that are fans of our content, is because I think we get so consumed with being so competitive and so much of baseball is life no matter what, that we forget sometimes how, this is a child's game. This is fun. We are blessed by the opportunity to play this game, and why don't we just have fun doing it? And so that's, a little bit about my post-high school career, I guess.
And I think this is a perfect transition to enter into the part that I'm most excited to talk about in this podcast, which is where it all
it's about me.
Where it all began. And, because it's about you, it's also about Danimals.
Back to the beginning.
It's your little baby child. But before that, I do want to take a short ad break. And on the other side of the podcast, on the other side of the ad, it's, I don't know, what do you say?
Origin of Danimals Baseball.
There you go.
This episode of Under the Lights presented by Danimals Baseball is brought to you by Aloha Caps and Aloha Mitts. For the baseball gear you want and need, handled and delivered to you with Aloha. Aloha Caps and Aloha Mitts, founded by Everett Lau, a Division 1 infielder, and Emerson Lau, the business and digitally savvy brother, aim to bring you high-quality hats and mitts to the islands of Hawaii. With sizes between 7.25 and 7.5,
Size matters.
Aloha Caps delivers exceptional quality caps that have been protected from environmental and external exposures. You can find them on Instagram at Aloha_Caps and Aloha Mitts. DM for any inquiries or purchase information.
Thank you, Aloha Caps and Aloha Mitts, for sponsoring this episode of Under the Lights presented by Danimals Baseball. Stock some Angels gear. Let's go Angels, 2022 World Series champs.
Chee! And let's expand those sizes, boys. Big heads matter too.
Big heads matter.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Under the Lights podcast presented by Danimals Baseball. Today, I'm your host.
And it's Mistah Coach edition.
It is Mistah Coach edition.
Sorry.
We're
I get
here-
excited.
We're joined with Higa Hacks Higa, who is the third person here on our podcast. Here talking about your dear old Mistah Coach. And before we get into the Danimals stuff, the meat, I believe, of the podcast, the stuff that I'm most excited for, I do have to give you credit because, you know, we mentioned all these things about you playing baseball, you suffering a traumatic head injury, and undergoing multiple concussions probably. But the kid has also maintained his grades throughout his high school and collegiate career, and that is extremely important. And I know we have a young following, some kids who are, you know, watching our stuff who are still in high school, still in college, and we cannot stress the importance of grades enough. Mistah Coach at Whittier was actually a SCIAC, all academic team
SCIAC,
SCIAC, which means
Southern California Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, I think.
okay. So in your conference,
Yeah.
you were you were on the all academic teams for 2015, 2016, and 2017, which meant that Mistah Coach was a student athlete. He played the game of baseball while maintaining a grade point average of 3.4 or higher.
Yeah.
He's a smart young man, and I'm sure you were on honors at Marino as well.
The head noggin
Oh,
hit to the head
It
just
made you smarter.
yeah.
It turned a switch on in your
Yeah.
brain.
Just gave you a little jolt.
He was also you also got the SCIAC Sportsmanship Award in 2017.
Yeah, that's some bullshit award they
Oh.
give to some kid that you know is like rides the pine but is very supportive of his teammates.
Oh, okay.
Damn, I should have went to college. I should have played baseball in college, dude. I could have won a SCIAC Sportsmanship Award.
All right, well, there you go. You know, kids, maintain those grades.
Yeah.
Baseball, playing the game of baseball, it's fun and all, but
Well, I
grades are
mean,
important.
You know, we're all told at one point of our lives that we can no longer play this game,
Mhm.
and
What
you
will
know,
you do after?
You need to think about what you're going to do after. And for me, it's you know, pursuing medicine. I've been fortunate enough to have been accepted to medical school this year on a full ride scholarship to the University of Hawaii, and so I'm actually going to take a little step back from Danimals baseball during that time, but you know, I'll still be involved. But excited to get this next part of my journey started.
We're both excited for you and jealous of the school because they're gaining Mistah Coach, and we're losing them we're losing you at the same time. But okay, that set aside, let's jump into Danimals baseball back in 2017.
Yeah.
The inaugural year, the boys were wearing these black dry fit shirts, which I think are the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
Emerson loves them.
Mine is somewhere to be found. I have no idea where it is. But you tell this story, you know, that you started the game, you started the Danimals in order to, you know, sort of continue playing the game that you love. You undergo a unique experience in college with a unique coaching staff, but you end up bonding a lot with the boys. And now you find yourself in a coaching position to sort of take control of how the team is structured. But let's go back to 2017. Where do you see this team going as far, like, do you think it's a one-time thing, or like, what were you hoping to gain
You know,
from creating the team?
Yeah, not entirely sure. Certainly not this. You know, I think it was a way for all of us to reconnect after college because a lot of us went different ways. I went to school on the mainland. Some of my teammates stayed home, and others went to other institutions and colleges across the mainland. So it was really to reconnect back with my friends from high school, and you know, even before that, like Brandon, I played Little League with, and we went to separate high schools, colleges, and then we were able to come back. And so that's kind of where it started. And you know, like I mentioned, it was really about getting back to what made baseball fun. And I think when you are at a level of baseball where, you know, I don't want to say it's like too meaningful, but when you let the competition aspect of it overwhelm the enjoyment of the sport, it gets a little difficult. And you know, just from experiencing that, I wanted to make Danimals an inviting place to play ball. You know, we've brought on a whole bunch of people that I had not known before Danimals onto the team, and you know, really wanting to foster connection and camaraderie, and having a good time playing the game we love, because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to remember, right? You're not going to remember, having to wake up at 6 a.m. to go lift and to try to outwork the other schools in your conference. You're going to remember Darren walking up to Ariana Grande and, Landon Higa digging into the batter's box while we played the theme song to Barbie. That was one of my favorite memories. And stuff like that. It's like, this is something that transcends baseball. It's something that I'll look back at and never forget. It's been, just such an instrumental part of my life.
And one thing that I was curious about, because the baseball team started in the OBL league, the Oahu Baseball League, and I don't have a lot of memories about the first season of Danimals baseball. I remember a lot from second season and on. But within the OBL league, you have teams that actually do compete and compete or like play to win. So for the Danimals, like what is it about the team that allows us to be so lax, even though other teams are out there trying hard and trying their best to win? For the Danimals to not basically fall into that same style of play. How does that happen when
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate that we have an actually pretty talented group of baseball players. Like, everything aside, it's actually a pretty good group of ball players, and so we've kind of relied on that a little bit. You're able to throw Brandon basically wherever you want on the baseball field, and he's going to do well, right? And to all the teams that take it a little more seriously, we're playing in a men's league. At the end of the day, if you win the championship or not, like, no one's going to remember that.
It's nothing against those teams. It's just
no. It's just a style of play.
Yeah,
It's just a philosophy, and this is how we want to kind of carry our business. Is like, how can I make this season memorable? Is it going to be going all out and winning a championship? Or is it going to be dressing up for Halloween and seeing Jarin trying to steal second base in a inflated dinosaur dragon costume? 20, 30 years later, I may not remember like winning the Oahu Baseball League Men's Division 1 championship, but I'll remember dearly the Halloween game and some of the fun stuff like that.
Yeah. I think like when you have, I think that the talented part of the team that comes in handy, because I don't think anybody likes to get blown out of a game, and I don't think we really ran into that situation. Like, if we lost a game, it wouldn't matter, but I don't think there was ever a time when we're being like 10-run ruled. Like, we're always competitive. I think that's important, because I think Danimals isn't the same if we're a team
we're not
that goes
competitive.
over.
Yeah.
Like, there's something satisfying about not trying and then still winning the game and having fun along the way. It's like, I think, one of the best feelings, because you have fun, the outcome is great, and then you just talk about the game afterwards. Like, you talk about all the dumb things that you did, and you say we still won.
Yeah.
We don't have to do all like the hardcore like try hard stuff, and like that's a pain to go through, and then we don't have to do that, and then if we can still win, then it's like even better. You didn't have to do all that stuff.
And so another thing that I want to ask, because we always have a conversation, you and I particularly, because we carpool a lot, but going into Danimals postseason runs, like doing the like every year in the summer, it's treated as like a tournament. So you have regular season and then postseason, where you play for bragging rights essentially. But I love having this conversation with you. It's like whether or not we try, and we actually try and win, because I think like growing up playing a sport, there's always a innate like a sense of competition in you, that whenever there's something, like even if it's just bragging rights, when there's something that you're playing for, a championship, something about you just wants to like win. Like, that just feels good. But when it comes to Danimals, it's like you play the entire season with such like relaxation, like carelessness, that I just love hearing what you have to say about how we should approach the game, because for a couple of seasons we actually did try and win. But can you talk us through that?
Yeah, it's a natural response, right? Anytime there's something to win, or it's something that is meaningful, you're gonna put more effort into it, and it's just a natural human response, right? And For the first 2 or 3 years, I think we, played the style of baseball that you all come to know and love. And then come playoff time, it was like, now we got to buckle down, right? And, we would bat our best nine and play our best defense. And, it just, we really strayed away from our identity in those moments. It wasn't the same camaraderie. It wasn't the same atmosphere, so to speak. Because we were just playing very tight. And in reflection, I realized that win or lose, again, no one gets a trophy at the end of the day. We're not going to get, championship rings. We don't get our name etched in history books, right? It's just like cool, you guys won. and so even though those games, it feels a little more meaningful, at the end of the day, it's just, another opportunity for us to be on the same field at the same time and enjoying the game we love. So the last 2 years, we've kind of taken that approach. We let our guys hit, a lineup of 24 guys. And, it's just as fun to see guys like Emerson Lau get a clutch hit in a in a playoff game, and stuff like that. Things that you never would imagine being able to happen, but you're affording these guys opportunities to do some pretty cool stuff. And I think that makes like the videos much better. That makes the content much better, and it makes for just a better vibe, honestly.
And I remember this past season we approached the postseason style of play by just playing everybody, batting everybody. And I remember Chase Uyema showed up like halfway during one of the playoffs games. 7 guys before him struck out. I was one of those 7.
I remember that.
But it was like 7 straight guys striking out. And Chase shows up and he breaks the hitting streak. And this is a guy who's like never taken an at bat in the regular season. And you just show up during a random game, and then break the streak. If you don't have the mindset of like we're here to have fun, Chase never gets that opportunity. Oh yeah, because he takes a totally different approach to going up to the plate. Because when you see 7 guys before you strike out, it's almost like, oh god, like I don't want to go up to bat. But then you take the mentality of like, just here to like basically have fun. Like he after getting the hit, he was like, thank God I played like MLB The Show or something, because that's where I got all my practice in. Like treating the game like a video game, and he took that approach. Like it worked out for him. So I think it is a result of the culture that we foster here at Danimals, and giving everybody the opportunity to actually take hacks. There's something bound good to happen. Like what is your famous quote, Landon? Like every blind squirrel finds his nut
every once in a while. But yeah, I think we touched on it on an earlier episode, but it's like, I think for us, it's better just to play our way, and then we'd rather just play our way and play in a championship game or whatever. And if we lose, it's fine. Yeah. It's better than like trying to change it up, and then if we win, it's like, yeah, but we didn't do it,
our way,
Danimals baseball style,
right,
baby.
Well, don't get me wrong, like winning a state championship and like going through all the emotion that brought on, and just an explosion of emotion when that final out is recorded is like some of my favorite memories in my career. But at the same time, like equally as memorable are the Sundays in the regular season of Danimals baseball, where I get to see ridiculously play by Landon, or just some of the silly stuff. I think I reflect back and actually draw upon those memories more than I do like celebrating the last out of a state championship, which is crazy to me.
I think we were in it, or I was like interviewing you for the baseball card that we did this past summer, and the quote that stuck out to me was like you were saying, I won a state championship in high school. I played D3 collegiate baseball, and yet Danimals is still like some of the funnest baseball that you've played. And what did I say? What?
Funnest.
I said funnest?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oops. You said the hell out of funnest.
My bad. Well, maybe that's what you said. That's why. Maybe that was your quote. I was trying to recite your quote, so
Fair.
Maybe it's your fault.
I'm not a great grammar person, so.
Turns out we're also not a grammar podcast.
But I just think that quote is, I love that quote so much because I feel the same way. Granted, I didn't play collegiate baseball, but I went through the whole growing up playing baseball. I also won a state championship and done that whole thing, and yet I look forward to Danimals more than I would have looked forward to even getting to go back to that state championship game and charging the mound after we win. I sort of get that same feeling playing with the Danimals every Sunday.
And less stressful.
Oh, heck yeah.
Those like high school playoff baseball games, dude, I wasn't even playing, man. It's stressful. It's like,
well, you're on edge all the
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah, for real.
And stuff like that. So, what's nice about Danimals is you're able to just breathe, right? You have the ability to go out, and if you make some stupid, dumb, ridiculous play or attempt at something, no one's going to hold it against you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you boot a ball in the last out of the state championship game, I'm going to bring that up every time.
I can't believe that, Justin Ushio, he in that 2015 game, he just threw that ball away. He could have ended the game right then and there, but he had to make it harder for you guys to win. And
back-to-back years, Justin Ushio booted a ball at or threw a ball away at second base that would have been the last out of the game. Ended up winning, so it didn't matter. But the next year, the very next year, 2015, 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning, high school plays 7, and I think we're up 4. Or, Mānoa was up 4, and ground ball to Jarin, and he just eats it off his chest.
I think it rolled all the way up your arm, like all the way up.
I hate that so much. I can never watch the replay of that game. Like, no matter how much I want to see myself like celebrating, because I just cringe at that moment.
Dude, dude, I remember I was watching it on TV, or was I there? I haven't been watching it. I don't even remember if I was there or not. Oh no, I was watching it on TV.
Everybody has the same reaction. It's
but off the bat, I saw it rolling to you. I just thought about it like, dude, Justin did this up last year, and then I was like, oh no.
I had to. Justin's my bro. I had to do it. Like,
honestly, equally to blame for Justin's throwaway was Jason's inability to stretch and catch that ball.
That is always Justin's argument. That is always it.
As a fellow first baseman, like, you're not expecting to have to make a stretch on
a routine ground ball to second
on the grounder right to the second baseman, but you should always be ready. I know that now. I mean, playing with Danimals, like, some guys don't warm up before they play infield, so I'm like, it's a slow roller. I better get ready. But we'll have Justin on sometime, and then he'll tell his side, I'm sure.
Justin would love to be on the podcast
and just debate which unfortunate error was worse. And who's to blame.
Justin, along with Royce Kamesu, was one of Ryan's. Justin went to Mānoa, but Royce Kamesu is somebody that I think came on to the Danimals because he was also at Whittier.
Yeah, so Justin, Royce, and I all went to Whittier College, which was the weirdest thing, because I remember Justin wrote in my yearbook when I was a senior, like, have fun being a poet, the mascot for Whittier, right? And then he comes and follows me, right? So it's just kind of funny. But Royce, great addition to the Danimals team, but he and I and Justin, spent a good amount of time together in college because we were 3 guys from Hawaii all on the same college team in California. So it was a pretty cool thing to experience.
And so 2 things before we wrap up this episode. I know we could go on forever talking about Mistah Coach, and he would absolutely prefer that.
I would love nothing more to just have a running radio show 24/7. Just talking about myself.
24/7 Mistah Coach.
Yeah.
Two things that I want to touch on. The Danimals low light. So obviously with the Danimals we have a lot of laughs. But one particular low light experience actually wasn't your fault at all, and you sort of jumped at the opportunity. Was it 2019? Darren Lau and Ryan Nakamura had a competition for who could get the most amount of hits.
It was a base hit competition for a summer season.
And would you tell us what the consequence was for losing that competition?
What kind of stakes are we talking about?
Yeah, so
Darren and I... Was it a dinner? Was it...
Darren and I...
30 rack?
Are close, right? So we're close friends, and we decided to just put a friendly wager out there on who could have the more hits during the Danimals season. And
what one would expect would be a 30 rack, maybe
$100,
maybe $100. Maybe it's a nice dinner, treating you to a nice dinner or something. But no.
Yeah, we raise the stakes here. I don't play. I play for keeps, and so
Keep it, you will.
What I proposed to Darren was loser of the bet gets an ass tattoo
A tattoo where? Excuse me.
on the tush.
Right on the tush.
Yeah,
And who lost?
and
that
here's
bet?
the thing. Here's the thing, Darren. You lost that bet. I won by like 4 hits.
But what's on your ass?
Here's the thing.
Well, let him get into it.
Here's the thing, right? So I win the bet, right? Darren has to get an ass tat. And Darren is a little more shy, reserved guy, and he was not fond of that, right? He was just like totally against it. He was like, he lost the bet, but he was not having fun with what the consequence was going to be, right? And so understanding that and finding that out, I go, hey man, I know I won the bet. You're in line for an ass tat. I'll go get one with you. Right? And that's the kind of guy I am, right? You know, my buddy's going to get an ass tat. Even though I won the bet, I was right there with him. So Darren and I went to just a walk-in tattoo parlor. We called them up, said, you got room? And they said, yep. And I go, okay, here we go. And it was just spur of the moment, went into the parlor, and yep, I got established 1995 on the right cheek. And Darren did the same, different font, so it's not like completely matching. But you can say we're stuck at the hip forever now. He got a Star Wars font, and which actually took a lot longer to tattoo because it's very bold,
thick block letters.
Yeah.
Man.
So he took like a few hours. I think Jarin, you were there, and Kyle. And
It was like such a weird thing because, like, I remember we were talking about it at the baseball field. And then I got a text being like, okay, like, we'll maybe look at this day to get the ass tat. And I was like, I still didn't believe that it was still something you were
I don't
gonna
think
go
anybody
through
did.
with. Because it's like why? Like, of all things, like, of all times to get a tattoo, of, you know, all places to get it, for all reasons, like, literally a bet of who could get the most hits in a league that we didn't even take seriously. It was like, okay, so the date was set, and I remember because I think, you know, we arrived at the tattoo shop. It was near Ala Moana, and I was like walking up, and I started recording because I was like,
this is real.
I can't believe that we're actually here. I have the two guys right in front of me, Darren and Ryan. I'm just following them up the staircase. We entered a tattoo parlor, and I'm still in disbelief. Like, what in the world are we doing here? It was like me, Kyle Abe, Michael Nishiki.
Yeah.
I was like asking them, like, are they really doing this? Like how ridiculous.
And we weren't
like,
doing
is
content,
this?
dude. That would have been an all-time Danimals blog.
We did. I did make a small video, but you know, I wanted to bring this up in the podcast is because I don't think it really received the recognition that I think it deserves. Like, for life.
I mean, yeah, you know, that's just an all-time favorite moment. And you know, like, what's crazy about it is, like, I was so against getting a tattoo, like, for a long time in my life in general. But you know, now that I got it, it's like I can get old and ugly and, you know, fat, but I can look in the mirror, pull down my pants, and just laugh at myself, right? So when I was young and I was like 23, 24, I made a bet with Darren, won, but still got tatted.
Still got it.
And, you know, I think that's just kind of neat to be able, you know, this is an important thing for people in general to be able to do, is to just laugh at yourself, right? You sometimes we get caught up with so much of stuff going on in their lives, so much stress, and being able to just have like a little thing to giggle at is actually pretty cool.
I loved hearing all the stories of you going into work, or you like showing your parents for the first time and hearing about all their reactions to getting a tattoo on your butt. I think that was, you know, icing on the cake for me. It's just I thought it was ridiculous. I love seeing how people react to the
It's a great icebreaker too.
I remember Darren
yeah.
just kept telling me how itchy it was. I'm like, I don't need to hear about your butt itches.
I forgot
Darren.
you guys were having to like periodically like get up and like rub like
the lotion.
Yeah, like we were like growlers and stuff. You're like, oh, me and Darren need to go step outside. We have like this little bottle that you need to take. You gotta take care of it. You don't want that to get infected, man.
No.
In honor of having Keola on our podcast today, we're doing it vlog style. We're happy to bring on a new sponsor, Barber Fit Hawaii and Barber Kicks. Thank you for sponsoring Under the Lights presented by Danimals Baseball. Here we have the brand new pomade product. Pomade, if you don't know, is really good for slicking your hair, shaping it, and then giving it a nice matte finish. Ryan and I are super stoked to be trying it out. Unfortunately, Brandon doesn't use pomade, so he won't be using it. But it smells awesome. You know, we're really excited to be using it. Thank you so much, Barber Kicks. If you want to book an appointment with him, you can find him on Instagram, kickhigh_boy22. Go book an appointment, show him some love. Thank you for sponsoring Under the Lights presented by Danimals Baseball. Now we want to spend the rest of the episode focusing on the rapid fire questions, a reoccurring segment that we're going to be asking Mistah Coach questions. He has, there's no time limit, but you know, it's rapid fire, so be concise, be quick. And would you like to take the lead on this, Landon?
Sure thing.
What you got for me?
Mr. Coach, are you ready for your rapid fire questions?
El Posible. I'm scared. I have not seen these in advance, and I don't know what I'm going to say.
All right. First one, ballpark me. How many hats do you think you own?
Ooh, a lot. A lot. Just some context, my love for hats began when after the injury because it covered the scar.
Oh,
So just a funny little note there.
good fact.
But that has grown into quite the obsession, and I mean, I gotta be pushing triple digits. I think maybe like 110, 115.
Okay.
No way.
What'd you get?
Wait, is that really your guess?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hats, dog.
So I counted before this podcast. I wrote down on this post-it note 115.
Oh, you actually did.
Let's go.
That's pretty funny.
Holy cow. I mean, like, granted, okay, that's probably not right because I'm sure you have hats
Yeah.
lying around.
No, but the fact that
But
that's what he said,
the
that's pretty
hats
funny.
in this room right now that I counted, 115, right on the money.
You gotta like show it to the camera, dude.
Oh my god.
Following up on that, what's the higher number? The amount of hats and sunglasses you own combined, or the number of runs that you've scored in your playing career?
So if I have 115 hats, I think I have like upwards of 20 pairs of shades, Oakley shades.
Okay.
I'm an Oakley geek.
Uh-huh.
Always have been. So that puts it about 135.
It's a lot of runs.
Have I scored more than 135 runs in my career? You know, before Danimals, no. But I think during Danimals, and if you count for Danimals, I think I would be pretty close.
Pretty close, you think?
Yeah, I think I surpassed it. Runs scored.
You can give the edge to runs?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, like, dude, like the MLB players, 100 run seasons and 162 games, but I'm also not an MLB player.
Yeah, you're also not playing 162.
But I've also played, 20 some odd years of baseball.
Yeah, but how many runs do you... But, like, you gotta get on base, and someone's gotta drive you in.
Yeah, I'd say I'd score probably 150 to 200 runs in my career.
Okay.
Touched that plate a number of times. I'm an asset to the team.
Yeah, you on base guy, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you had the choice to have a marshmallow now or two marshmallows
What is
tomorrow,
this question?
Jarin wrote this one.
It's
What would be your
psychology.
decision? No, this is
This is economics.
yes, an economics thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's psychology.
Like a dollar today is worth
Okay.
more than a dollar tomorrow.
I see what you're saying. But
Marshmallow now.
marshmallow now? You
Yeah.
take one marshmallow now?
I value the marshmallow now in this instance. I minored in economics,
I know you did.
and so
Did you minor in economics too?
you majored in economics.
Oh, you
did.
majored in
Yeah.
economics?
So
Why did you know that?
Well, because this is a question that like psychologists ask kids because it's about like instant like gratification, but I see how it's perceived as
Oh, okay.
also an economics
Yeah.
question because
from an economics
it
perspective,
grows
you
as you wait. Yeah.
Right.
you value the
I use marshmallows here though. If I wanted to make it
I don't
economics,
love
would've-
marshmallows. I remember I had like a big marshmallow fight in a hotel room with a bunch of friends once, and I
Did
got
it
all
give you a
fucky and stuff. And
Oh.
no,
Ooh.
no, like it's just like you're stepping on it, and then it got like smears on the rug and stuff, and so I just like
In a
freak
hotel?
out. Yeah,
You guys messed that room
it was
up.
pagoda.
Oh,
Who
So,
cares?
yeah, I have like a weird dislike towards marshmallows.
okay.
Who on the Danimals would have the worst yearbook picture?
Who on the Danimals would have the worst yearbook? Honestly, me. It's absolutely me. Because in high school, I grew my hair out long to try to cover up the scar, and it turned bad. None of my friends told me how to get a haircut. It's all your guys' fault. If somebody would have just told me, like, hey, this is not a good look, dude, I would have appreciated that. But my yearbook is tragic. My yearbook photo is tragic. It's like BTS, like circa 2013.
You look
Yeah,
extra.
dude, you're a
Chinese.
peacock. You gotta let you fly.
Literally like bowl cut to a T. Like if you could define bowl cut, it's that pictured on my yearbook. That's in a yearbook that's gonna, stand the test of time. Everybody pulls up the 2013 senior pictures. It's gonna be me in a bowl cut. I've since retired the bowl cut.
You need to bring it back.
Yeah, dude, you gotta show off the scar, dude. Ladies love the scars.
Yeah,
Tacos or pizza?
tacos. Living in Southern California, I think gave me pretty good exposure to like Latin food, Mexican food, and that's actually what I miss a lot about being in California was that Latin influence, Mexican influence. There's not many places in Hawaii that has that authentic Mexican, and so when you find them, let me know. But I've never been a pizza guy. I mean, like, I'll eat it. Definitely, I'll enjoy it. But, if I had my choice, I think tacos.
Game-winning defensive play or game-winning hit?
Game-winning defensive play all day. That's me.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna be the
That's
answer.
me to a T. I remember my senior game at Whittier. We were playing Laverne, and, bottom of the ninth, we were up, and it's a home game. We recorded the first out on just a routine 4-3, routine ground ball. And second out was recorded, then two guys got on. It was kind of a little bit of pressure situation. And then to end the game, I made a diving play in the, to my forehand side.
Mm-hmm.
So up the right field line a little bit, diving play, threw the guy out. And I never showed emotion on the baseball field, like prior to that. Like, with Coach Jaelin and stuff, it was like, keep your emotions intact. You want to, be very, not unemotional, but just, very composed. And
Level-headed.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how I played. But literally after I made that diving play, throw him out, senior game, I, threw the biggest fist pump in my entire life. It was just like, it's just all the emotion just came out, right? And in that moment,
All 21 years of emotion because
honestly,
you didn't ever show it on the baseball field.
yeah, and so game-winning defensive play, diving one is one that probably won't come around that often, but that was really cool to end my college career on. I take a lot of pride in defense. You think hitting is sexy, but defense is about pride and discipline, and that's something that I've really committed my career to, is being defensively decent.
Sound. Yeah, I would say so.
Hey, be honest with me. How was your shoulder feeling after that throw?
Yeah, shoulder's not great. I had surgery in 2016 and for a labral tear. And
Wait, from that throw?
no, not from the throw.
oh.
So that throw was my senior year, so 2017. So I'm still able to throw, but
Only
certainly
got a couple of bullets in the chamber sometimes.
yeah, we're getting to that age where we're moving to the right side of the infield more and more. Like, been taking some
You're
innings
at
at
first
first base and stuff like that. So I mean, that's just part of the game when you're out of it and you're not keeping up with the arm care stuff. It just happens. So and I'm okay with it, right? That's just a natural progression of a baseball player. It's like baseball, you're athletic as a young kid. Move over to the right side as you get older because you can't make the throw. You can't compete with the guys that have better arms to make the throw. Then you get into the old man league, and it's like, now I don't really warm up, and this is the throw that's manageable in that situation. And then it's like, okay, well, let's condense the field, make it 60 feet. Let's play softball, right? And then it's like, okay, we're gonna hang these cleats up and head over to the golf course.
And that does not sound like a bad plan at all.
And then after the golf course, it's the cane. So you can see the baseball player's life through sticks.
I've seen that meme.
Yeah, it's like the t-ball bat, the little league bat, the high school bat, college wood bat, softball bat, golf club cane.
Yeah,
right. So that's the
The
trajectory.
full cycle. Then we'll be the grumpy old men that show up to the baseball field on a random Sunday to give like kids like the most amount of shit. We just like heckle them. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
That's what we do now, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up the rapid fire segment with Mistah Coach, and we're I think we're approaching time. But any last minute words for the fans out there about anything?
This is the episode they've been waiting for. One-on-one with Mr. Coach himself.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's really waiting for this, but
Well, you were.
I certainly was, obviously, but if there's anything that I could tell somebody that may stumble across this podcast, don't take life for granted. Do the thing that you want to do in that moment because tomorrow's not promised, and it's such a cliche thing to say, but I literally lived it. That next day wasn't promised, and what you make of adversity after the fact, I think, is equally as important, if not more important, than how you approach that adversity to begin with. You can take something like a devastating injury, and you can take something that may have put me in the ground and ended my baseball career and ended any career aspirations for doing something productive in society. We see a lot of people who go through life-changing injuries and succumb to, addiction to pain medications and stuff like that. But, you can use those opportunities and moments. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, right? It can be, something that pivots you into a positive light. Make that the inspiration for wanting to pursue baseball, wanting to pursue medicine. And I think that's kind of just been my life philosophy for the last 10 some odd years since that injury, and it's gotten me a long way, and I appreciate anybody that's willing to listen to that advice, and appreciate you guys tuning in for this. This is a very exciting podcast for me, clearly, because it's about me.
Exciting for the Mr. Coach fans out there.
I mean, there's like 3 of them, I think, but I mean, if there's anything that we can bring to this world, no regrets.
I think I speak on behalf of, the Danimals players, the people that you've been able to impact. When we say, I think Ryan is a very unique type of guy, has a very unique perspective on life, and on top of everything, he's doing really good things with this life that he's been given. We're lucky to have the Danimals. Ryan's going to be heading off to medical school to make a lot of money, and he's going to be impacting
lose a lot of sleep.
He'll be impacting a lot of lives, for the better, being in the medical profession. And I think for me, I'm just lucky that I'm able to be a part of your life. Hopefully we'll still continue to be a part of each other's lives, even when you're face planted into a textbook for the next, 6 years, something like that. 8 to 10. Well, we'll miss you, buddy. Have fun with those books. But I mean, Landon, you can end it off, but I'll just say once again, I think we're incredibly lucky to have you for a number of reasons. The Danimals, just friendship, everything. But go ahead.
I think it's just good to get behind the backstory of the man behind pretty much the whole Danimals.
The man behind the curtains.
Yeah, the whole Danimals
I'm a mystery man
franchise, if you want to say that. This is like the the HBO biopic of Danimals, and it starts and
So 90 minutes.
ends with Mistah Coach Ryan Nakamura. So I think that was a good backstory. People understand more about us if they understand more about you.
Yeah. Well, I just want to finish off by saying I think I'm incredibly blessed by, everybody that's been a part of my life. And it stems from family, it stems from, friends and teammates and the doctors and nurses and community who supported me through that injury. And to all my fellow Danimals, man. I mean, you have brought me so much joy in the last 5 years that I could have never imagined. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. I can't wait to see how this thing evolves and grows and takes off. And very, very appreciative of everybody who's had a hand in Danimals baseball, whether that's showing up for a ball game or watching our videos. It means the world to me, and it's something that I'll hang my hat on very proudly and proudly represent for the rest of my life.
Ryan's got a lot of hats to hang.
I like that. Clever. Hey, there you go. Second time.
We didn't use a soundboard at all
yeah,
today.
not-
You gotta be.
You gotta know your place.
You gotta be sparing with the soundboard. You can't go overboard.
We went overboard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to do it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is, again, the Under the Lights podcast presented by Danimals Baseball. We'll catch you next week, next week, Thursday.
Thanks for listening.
Mistah Coach edition.